From economics and vision 2030 made it easy, perhaps this time around let's also see if we can make it easier for you to understand IPv4 and IPv6 and the whole ICT issue as a whole. And more specifically, someone wants to, Jimmy, we have fiber optics now, but what's the difference? Two people will help us understand this. One is the chairperson of TESPOK, Mr. Tej Bedi. It's good to have you. You and I share something in common. We love nice frames. Seriously, nice frames. And Fiona Asonga was also the chief executive officer for TESPOK. It's good to have you. Let's start with you, Fiona. What is TESPOK?
TESPOK basically is the Telecommunication Service Providers Association of Kenya, and it has been in place since 1999. And the mandate of this association is pretty much to spearhead policy discussions on behalf of the industry with government, and we've been doing this since establishment. And then we've also been giving guidance on technology developments and what industry should be doing, what government needs to do, what you as an end user needs to be aware of and keep an eye on. And some of the things that we have managed to put in place as an association with the operators is the Internet Exchange Point. Then there is the Industry Computer Emergency Response Team. So we are trying to help you as an end user experience cheaper connectivity through the exchange point for your local traffic. And also we monitor to ensure that security issues are addressed and attended to in good time so that the internet is also secure.
Well done. Okay, there's something we'll ask you about in terms of somebody takes quite forever to respond a certain organization. To you, Tejpal, in terms of, I'm sure you saw an article in the papers last week on Business Daily about IPv4 and IPv6 in terms of should we run helter-skelter. But first, for those of us who may not understand IPv4 and IPv6, what is it? And should we be scared about the new one?
I'll start by saying please don't be scared. I think it's technology. We should embrace technology. Absolutely. It's very good for us. I'll talk with a bit about the history of the internet. Windsurf, as they call the father of the internet, invented TCP/IP in the early 70s. And he said, 4.6 billion IP addresses will be fine. So he started with the 32-bit architecture, which exhausted now after 40 years. So I think he did a good job. He still blames himself. Now, he never thought that the explosion would happen. You see, the two people that I feel are important for where we are today is Windsurf and obviously the person who invented www.
Well done.
And for both of them, that's where the growth has come in. Now, why is there growth? Because of the growth in internet usage. I was looking at statistics. We're now at 2 billion users globally. And that's only going to grow exponentially.
Well done.
Now, IPv4 had a certain amount of IP spaces which are exhausted, and actually they exhausted in February.
In this country?
Yeah. And there's a exhibition, not in this country, in the globe. There's a conference happening in San Francisco which we are attending, and there's going to be a ceremony around that. Now, IPv6, why do we need so many IP spaces?
Internet Protocol version 6.
Correct. Absolutely. Well done. Why? Because the whole world is connected. Today, I mean, if you see the home of the future, your TV, your fridge, your video, your everything that you run, your groceries will be ordered online. You need an IP.
Wait, you said TV as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because remember where the TV is going. It's going to be part of the network.
Refrigerator.
Your refrigerator. When you run out of milk, the refrigerator should be clever enough to tell the grocery store to get you milk or put it in your
Wait. Are you serious?
Absolutely.
That's what IPv6 can do.
No. IPv6 is the foundation.
I see.
But we require more IPs because that's where the technology is moving.
I see. Okay.
And our mobile phones, we're all on Facebook, Twitter.
I know cars do that. I know BMWs, the latest ones do that. Yes. So I was kind of surprised.
So the car would have an IP. Yes. And to make it even more is that it won't have one IP. It would have several IPs within the car.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Question in terms of, like I said in my introduction, we know fiber optics finally here in this country. People celebrated. Amongst the things we're celebrating on was the fact that we thought everything would become cheaper. What is the process for the end user then to begin to enjoy fully the benefits of fiber optics? Or are we right in saying we thought right now we should have cheaper services, reasonably priced services?
Okay, I think it's a holistic approach to this. Is really that we have 5 million internet users. It's not a bad thing going for Kenya from where we are. We need to have more economies of scale. We've got to get more users on.
Right.
Where are we accessing our internet to use? Okay, there'll be a lot of it will be email going back and forth within Kenya. Internet exchange point helps that. But then we're all accessing sites abroad. We're going to CNN.
Yes.
We're going to Facebook. We're going to Twitter. It's not sites that reside here. Google, obviously. Now, as we gain local content, that will help the internet become faster. So remember, the cables have helped. And it's much better than when it was in terms of satellite space. But it's as we get local content. I think local content, citizens doing a great job, your website, things, that's what makes things happen. And once we get local content, like you look at China doesn't have Facebook.
No.
They have the equivalent of Facebook, which the whole community resides. It's not coming from the US.
I see.
So will Africa be there? I'm very certain. I think with us being interconnected.
I know it's ICT. I'm sure you're not saying that, ICT is the new agriculture, because, agriculture is still, the biggest employer in as far as youth are concerned. How will industries, or how can industries benefit from ICT?
Yeah, I think ICT is an enabler. It's what's going to take us. At the end of the day, to me, Kenyans have the entrepreneurship. We've got good talent. That's the key. Where's our education system? I think, from the 70s, we have a better education system than the rest of Africa, even South Africa. And that's where talents like, KPOs, business process outsourcing, it requires talent to really, people from the US, if they're making a call to Verizon, can it come to Kenya? It's going to the US, it's going to India right now. Do we have the talent? I believe we do.
Yes, we do.
I think, fiber, everyone's saying fiber's here. Is the BPO industry going to expand? Yes, it's doing that. But obviously, I think the fundamentals of the economy is important to get us there. And to me, those are the critical points.
I see what you mean.
It's important to get the economy and ICT together. And once you have that, you'll have an enabler for it to grow. If you look at the software industries, look at Infosys in India. We've got a couple of good software houses in Kenya. So we've got Kenyans sitting at the back of a computer writing a script for a bank in the States. So that's happening right now. How do we develop? And I think the ministry is doing a good job. There's a lot of training. To me, training is key to developing Kenya. And obviously, an enabling environment for entrepreneurs. We must get, and that's been there. Look, if you compare how quickly it is to start a business in Kenya to, say, Tanzania, we're better than them. South Africa again, Uganda. But we should also benchmark to the UK.
I see.
The US.
Because I was going to go next. What's our benchmark? I mean, which countries have used ICT?
Singapore being one of them.
Singapore comes in again on this.
South Korea. South Korea is a 1 trillion GDP economy, and they've grown from simple things to what we had in the 1970s. When I was there, I talked to one of the ministers, and he says, "You know what? We took your blueprint." And it was such a interesting statement. I said, "Okay, well, don't worry. We're going to work hard." But look at today, South Korea is exporting, from their cars to their digitally, their chips that they're manufacturing. So we've got those as benchmarks. We can't benchmark the UK and the US because a lot of the manufacturing and ICT has gone to China and the Far East.
You know what? And here's that ugly word again, ugly, especially in this country, politics coming into play in terms of us hindrances, if you can say that. But in terms of how do you circumvent politics in terms of making sure that we begin to think in the new ways of thinking? We've got a fantastic vision, which we've just been reminded about. It's going to take us, it's another 19 years before we realize it. We've got a government that now must begin to think progressively. How do you escape from politics as an industry in terms of convincing the government, convincing the people, convincing politicians that this component is a very important, as you say, bedrock in as far as moving forward? How do you as an association work around?
You can't run away from politics, but my urge to the politicians, peaceful elections, gentlemen, and let's not have what we did last time. My urge and my respect is because if we do that again, we won't have foreign investors having faith. They'll say every 4 years, this country goes through hold.
Are you saying that we are an attraction in as far as foreign investors?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Kenya is the full.
Rwanda beat us in as far
as it's a tiny economy.
Right.
I mean, look at our GDP to Rwanda. Rwanda is 10% of Kenya. It'll never be significant. So as long as the economy progresses without politics, and if it doesn't get hindered, we will grow. Huge potential. Kenyans have the will. I think we've got the best talent. If you look at South Africa and Kenya, I think Kenyans have a lot. We are exporting our talent. You go to Uganda, every middle manager is a Kenyan.
I see what you mean.
So we've got a lot to say.
Is renowned, are you saying? Renowned?
Thanks to actually the government and CCK liberalizing our telecom sector. We liberalized more 5 years before South Africa. We liberalized before Uganda, Tanzania. Now the reasons we're seeing this is really the liberalization that has helped. But of course it'll take time before we build our volume.
But that's a start. That's a start.
Absolutely.
Just going back to IPv4 and IPv6, one of the biggest questions, of course, is are we seeing another Y2K if one does not have an IPv6? Does that mean that he's unable to get content or unable to access certain email addresses?
Maybe I'll keep it simple. We've got connectivity at home. We've got a Wi-Fi router.
Yes.
We've got a connection to the ISP. All of them have an IP address. Now, a lot of them are using IPv4. So when the transition happens, those IPv4 will not work.
I see.
So you've got to move. There will be a transition time, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years. I think maybe 2 years will be maximum. We will need to then change. A lot of the vendors that are supplying to Kenya are already making them dual, IPv4 and IPv6. So I think it's good for the regulators to be involved, the government to be involved, to encourage consumers to be buying good quality goods, not to be bringing them through the black market, buying them from official vendors, which will have them have the transition over there. The ISPs are investing heavily from IPv4 to IPv6, that are investing from the Access Kenyas to Safaricom, and that's what's going to happen.
We won't feel the transition. We shouldn't feel the transition.
We should not, but I was also told a caution that if we're not careful, we will. You wake up in the morning and you have no internet. And nowadays with all this Twitter and Facebook and all these connected things that we have, internet's essential. It's like electricity.
So what should we do to
look?
What are we looking at in terms of social
I know it's been revolutionary. And the thing that we talked of earlier of we're not feeling why we are quicker with cable is because of things like Facebook, YouTube. Because what's happened is you survived on a 64K 5 years ago, you were happy. Today you have a 1 meg, but you're pushing so much traffic through it, you're probably not feeling it. But why is it important? It's important for everyone, every corporate entity, because the consumer buying behavior has changed. Today, when I get encouraged to buy a chocolate, for example, I want to see if Cadbury's or what's my options. And social media is important. And I was looking at a site called Brand Republic, and they're talking about really how significant Coke, Cadbury's, Nestle are now investing in Facebook, in Twitter, to get closer to their actual target market.
That's true.
And no longer it's your website, it's really how close you are to your consumer. And that to me, why is it significant? Because we've got the numbers. It's 500,000 Facebook users in Kenya, target market, and you can actually choose what age group you want to target. So it's changing. I think companies will need to evolve, and a lot of them are.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I see what you mean in terms of also industries benefiting. Agriculture, for example, can use, I guess, Facebook in terms of information. One is able to share information in terms of certain aspects of industry, and I guess that's huge.
You see, you've got user groups.
Exactly.
You can share with the farmers, say in India, for example, to say, you know what, we had drought. What do we do now? Well, we use this special seed, a hybrid seed. So those things are important, and I think as we connect people with the same needs, and that's where the social media comes in.
Amazing. Is there anything happening in terms of ICT?